Welcome to Embracing Life Again. I'm Catherine Coffer, transition expert and minister. Together, we'll break through life's toughest barriers, rediscover joy, and start dreaming again. It's time to embrace life fully with purpose, passion, and hope. Welcome to Embracing Life Again. I'm your host, Catherine Coffer, and it's where we bring inspiration through life's transitions. And I have Liz here again today. So I wanted to introduce her, but do not forget to tune in to Zebby and Theo, the adventures of Zebby and Theo, the last 10 minutes of the show. So we are continuing our conversation with Liz, but first let me I'm going to introduce you again because some people may have missed it, don't know. But if you missed the other one, go back and because it's really good. Dr. Liz Lyster, she is a board-certified OBGYN with 30 years of experience, and she is passionate about helping women and men in midlife boost their energy, balance their hormones, and achieve optimal health. She is a best-selling author, a world traveler, and she helps people in person and online to feel their best so they can do their best. And I love that.
Yeah.
So today, she is very much into boosting energy and confidence and well-being. She's all about the whole package. And that's another reason I wanted you on because when I met her, I was like, oh my God, we're both Energizer bunnies, right? So we talked about hormones last time. This time we're going to do where her work is focusing on boosting your energy, right? So since your work focuses on boosting energy, what are the top 3 ways women can naturally increase their energy in midlife
And beyond.
and beyond?
Okay.
Yes.
Number 1, protect your sleep.
Oh, does that mean going to bed at the same time?
What
does that mean?
So much to talk about. I am a student of all the things I talk about. I am a student of them as well. Mm-hmm. And so I have some things that I'm working on right now as well to talk about that. So it turns out that the bedtime, it's good to be as consistent as possible, okay, but also the waking time is important as well, because then you train your body and you also want to have it match your own rhythms. So there's so much to talk about, a lot of experts out there, but I'm here to distill information mm-hmm. for our audiences.
What is rhythm? So, what do you mean by rhythm?
Our bodies have a circadian rhythm. Okay. All right, and they're not all exactly the same. Some people really are early birds, and some people are really night owls.
Got it.
That is real. Okay. There's a very tiny % of people who actually don't need more than a few hours of sleep a night. The rest of us, a good number is 7 hours. This is not the number for everybody. There's a lot to it. There's ways to figure out all the timing and also the quantity of sleep. So that's number 1 for energy, mm-hmm. no question, is protecting your sleep. Okay. Number 2 is all the things we talked about it before, and which is the focus of my work, which is hormone balancing. Mm-hmm. Right. So when we're in perimenopause, menopause, our hormones are going out of balance. And so we want to address that. And we don't have to get our hormone levels back to when we were 20, mm-mm, just enough to feel good. Mm-hmm. Very important in this category is thyroid. Thyroid hormone is critically important to energy and how we feel. And unfortunately, in most medical settings, mm-hmm. doctors check one test. They check the TSH, and mm-hmm. then they call it a day. There's much more detail to pursue. And so sometimes, and thyroid interacts with all of the other hormones. There are literally thyroid receptors on the ovaries. and there are estrogen receptors on the thyroid. I mean, it's that they are that intimately connected.
Wow.
So that's very important. So hormone balance. So sleep and hormone balance. And then I'll put for number 3 is doing what you can to manage stress. Easier said than done. Lots of ways that are out there. I think it's a matter of finding out what works for you. What do you enjoy? It can be exercise, it can be yoga, it can be meditation. It's different for each person. And so that's an important and worthy project to figure out what is helpful to you, because that also impacts hormones, right? Lowers cortisol, adrenals, which make the cortisol, they are very related to thyroid function. All these things are interconnected, but those are my 3 that I would give to your audience.
That's good. So finding what you like to do to relax or just to decompress is, no, I'm not going to say it's easier said than done, because you can do it, but you just have to get out there and say, okay, do I like walking with music
yes,
in my ears and just watching everything and walking my dog? So that's what I do. I walk my dog and I walk my horse every day. But the other thing I do, which is really weird, and you wouldn't think so, I love to put on my earbuds or whatever and turn on music and then just dance around the house.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then in my bedroom, you saw my little trampoline. I will also do the trampoline.
Super fun.
And I stay fit, and it gives me a lot of energy. Yeah.
When you were reading the little intro for me, I realized I need to add Argentine tango dancer onto that.
Yes, you do.
I need to add that on there. That's such a fun, it's very fun. It's really great physically as well, but primarily it is really good for my mindset, my brain. It's very, very enjoyable.
Is it hard
it's one
to
of the
learn?
ways I manage stress. It's easier to learn to follow.
Oh, okay.
Which is women usually follow, the men usually lead, but not always.
Oh.
I may give myself a mental challenge soon. I'm thinking about it, learning how to lead as well.
Wow.
But also learning what the leader is doing will also help me be a better follower. So it's a lot of fun. I really love it. The music's amazing. You reminded me with the music and the dancing. I'm the same way ever since I was little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny. On another note, so when I went to a conference, for us to relax, she has belly dance.
Yes.
And I'm like, how does this help you relax? But you use different parts of your body, and it just does. It's really interesting. I was like, wow, this is kind of cool.
Yep.
Yeah, so just experiment, and that's all we're saying. So how do stress and sleep impact your hormone balance? And what advice do you give women to manage both effectively? I don't think that's the same question. It's different.
Say the first part again.
How do stress and sleep impact hormone balance?
Okay. Well, first let me say they're a chicken and egg situation. Okay. So sleep is so critically important. The more I learned about it, the more I am absolutely amazed. And I've been saying that for a long time. It's still true. Every time I read something or hear something or I learn more about sleep, a lot is happening while we are sleeping. The body is doing so much while we are sleeping. And when we shortchange ourselves with sleep, we are really leading to long-term issues. Okay. So sleep, one of the hormones that people know about is melatonin. It's one of the many hormones that decline as we get older.
Right.
It's a little bit, I think it can be argued either way. Do people, like when we're older, do we actually need less sleep? That's not clear, okay? We mostly get less sleep. We have less melatonin, we get less sleep. Melatonin is made by the pineal gland in the brain, which if you go here, it's sort of in the middle of the cranium, okay? Like behind the eyes, which is why you got to have the room cold, dark, okay? As soon as light enters into your eyes, it starts to shut down the melatonin production.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't
Okay.
know that about melatonin.
So very intimately related. There's the more obvious, right? When women have either fluctuating estrogen or not enough, or progesterone not enough, that also can disrupt sleep. It could be the hot flashes or the night sweats. It could be just the effect of progesterone that calms anxiety and helps with sleep, right? So when the mind's going, that can interrupt sleep.
Ah, okay.
Let's see, and there's a lot more. There's a lot more things we can do behaviorally, to try to not drink too many fluids after dinner, and so that we're not up peeing all night. There's lots of behavioral choices that we can make.
It's true, but as you get older, you will.
Mostly, yes.
Mostly,
Most, yeah. Not 100%, but definitely, it's definitely common. That is for
more
sure.
common. Yeah.
Stress, I'm going to connect to the hormone cortisol. Right? Cortisol is made by the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands make a lot of other hormones. They're small but mighty.
What do you do so what should we take to reduce our cortisol? But first you have to test to see how much you have, right?
I always do the testing. There's
Okay.
a lot of ways to do the testing. I like a morning fasting blood cortisol level can give a lot of information. When I need more information, there's saliva, or now we have even better, it's urine testing, which is super easy to do. But these are specialized kits. They're not usually at regular labs. So that can add a little bit of little challenge to get one's hands on those types of tests.
Right.
So to manage it, number one is the behavioral, the bedtime routine. All right, I just recently learned that, everyone knows about blue lights, etc., turn off the screens, that type of thing. It doesn't necessarily, it might not actually be the light from the screens. It might be what we're doing on the screens.
Well,
So
right.
if you're checking work email
you're
before
not
bedtime,
supposed to. Right.
then you are going to possibly spike your cortisol and you're going to disrupt your sleep. So that's important to
Are
keep
they
in mind.
recommending about an hour before bedtime?
Yes,
Do not look
I
at your
recommend.
phone? Right.
Yes, scrolling social media, which I don't do generally speaking.
I don't either.
Yeah, but definitely not near bedtime. So, and then also whatever signals to your body that you are now unwinding and you're going to head into a good night's rest. That can, whatever routine or ritual, it can be your favorite cup of tea. It can be some natural supplements.
Okay.
There are a number that are perfectly fine. It's fine to replenish melatonin. That's easy to do, right? It tends, I've observed this clinically for decades, and I recently learned some data that actually backs up what I have seen in my practice all these years, which is that a smaller dose can be more effective than a higher dose
Of melatonin.
of melatonin.
Oh.
So 0.5 milligram, 1 milligram is probably about as much as our bodies can incorporate.
Really? Because they sell 5 milligrams.
10
they sell
yeah.
10 milligrams.
Which is not, I don't think that's harmful. I do not think
not
that,
harmful.
I do not think that it's harmful. There's a lot of information out there of melatonin helping decrease cancer risk, decrease risk of a lot of illnesses. It's not really clear to me if it does that because you're getting better sleep.
Okay.
I'm not totally persuaded that it's directly the melatonin, because I do know, and we definitely know, that disrupted sleep is definitely associated. Cognitive issues, illnesses, cancer risk, everything is worse for people who aren't getting good sleep.
Interesting.
Right? So there are directly supplements that will support adrenal function, right? And they're supplements, so they're not in the pharmaceutical
No, I know. But
industry.
I don't know
So that
what they
means
would be called. I mean, do you know the name of them or no?
absolutely. Generally speaking, we call them adaptogens. And it includes things people have heard of: ashwagandha, rhodiola. There's valerian that helps. Valerian root can help with sleep. There's really quite a few.
Okay.
And it's a bit trial and error. And I'll just say with supplements, it's very important to get a good brand, a high quality brand. So if your doctor has particular ones that she or he recommends, then that's probably going to be a better way to go than Costco or Amazon or.
Well, they usually don't recommend. I mean, my doctor is like, he doesn't. I asked him, well, what can I use instead of, right, a certain prescription? Oh, so I used to take Celebrex, and Celebrex is like it's a prescription Advil type thing.
For pain. Mm-hmm.
And he's like, nothing. He didn't know. He
Right.
couldn't tell me.
Yes, we are not taught.
They are not taught.
Nothing.
They are not taught about
Yes.
naturopathic, other healthy remedies besides prescription. And it's so sad, but I'm hoping it's starting to come in a little bit.
I'm going to check on that. When I was in medical school, out of 4 years, our nutrition training was 1 week.
Oh my goodness.
Out of the 4 years. And medical school is continuous, right? There's no like summer break. Wow. So it was really extremely little. So I've gone out and learned what I can. I go to my conferences. I learn about these more natural approaches, all of these things that are out there that can support the body's function.
Right. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. What are the most powerful lifestyle shifts women can make in their 40s and 50s and beyond to feel vibrant and strong again?
Okay, lifestyle is always going to include sleep, exercise, and food. What we do in terms of nutrition. And a lot of these are really, people are aware of these. I was going to say they're really obvious, but not to everybody. Right. But the awareness is increasing. So it's very important to avoid processed foods. I mean, these foods, they are being designed to get us hooked. There's a reason you can not only eat one potato chip or one Dorito. Like these are what I refer to as not real food.
Correct.
Right? Okay. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Tons of people out there offering their different programs and different ways to do that. But generally speaking, I remember when they used to say, stay to the outside of the grocery store.
I was just going to say that. If you go on the
dairy,
outside,
fruit. Yeah, but the marketers figured that out really quickly.
Yeah, so they put other stuff with it.
Absolutely. Like next to the strawberries, they put the cake and the goo. Like just terrible, really. So it's just, but I mean, you look at the goo, you could tell that does not occur in nature. Right? So a lot of ways, another way I've heard is that my grandmother would recognize it as food. Oh. That's another, right? Like my grandmother never saw a Pop-Tart. And I love Pop-Tarts, just saying. But minimizing as much as we can. So that's super duper important. What we eat really does have a lot to do with how we feel.
Oh, so true.
Very, very important.
No, but I like sugar.
We are designed to like sugar. That's not personal to you. No. Yes. Our bodies are designed from, I will say, at least thousands of years ago, if not longer, where food was not abundantly available all the time.
Correct.
Our bodies and our brains are designed for that. So this is where we do what we can in terms of portioning. All right. So not eating anything out of a big container, always in portions. These are some of the tricks that I do. Okay. Exercise, I often refer to it as the E word.
Okay, but is that just walking, or is there aerobic cardio that you have to do so many times a week? Because I've heard, because I know if I just walk, I have to get my cardio in there. That's what gets your blood pumping and gets you more energized. Okay,
what I will say is that it's extremely variable, and you've answered the question for yourself, which is what people need to do. So walking is wonderful, and if someone's completely sedentary and they're not out doing any exercise, walking is the place to start. Okay, the people who put on
lifting your legs when you're sitting there.
Absolutely, right. Exactly right. Let the little airplane things to do, right? Pointing our toes and doing what we can. Yoga, sitting in a desk chair, a lot of things that are possible to do.
Desk yoga.
Exactly. We have really not touched a lot on metabolism and weight. This is a really critical thing that we experience in midlife and beyond.
And she has helped how many people lose?
I don't know.
Thousands of pounds?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know, over 30 years of clinical practice, so I've
A lot.
stopped counting. But yes, a lot of people and a lot of pounds. So that is, so our exercise needs do change as we get older. It's never been a calorie in, calorie out. Maybe when you're in your 20s.
Oh.
Maybe.
They still teach that.
And it's just wrong, especially for women. I'm going to say women over 40. Okay. But it can also, all these things that I talk about, we're seeing them younger and younger. There's a lot of what we call endocrine disruptors in our world. Processed foods are among them. And there are many. I don't talk about it a lot because it's a little overwhelming. So we do what we can in that area. But what I can say is that burning calories at an aerobics class does not carry the impact in our 40s, 50s, and beyond that it did in our 20s. Okay. We have to add in things like heavy weightlifting, all right? Interval or burst kind of training is also going to be super helpful, partly because it contributes to hormone balance. All right, we make growth hormone after we do an interval HIIT type of training session.
Okay.
It's also very important to rest.
Okay.
Okay, when women tell me that they're struggling with their weight and they're working out 6 times a week or more, they're some of my tougher clients because I have to persuade them that they must give their bodies a rest day in the middle in there.
Oh, in the middle, not at the end?
Not at the end. It depends on what they're doing, right? A yoga class is different.
Oh.
Okay. Stretching, they all accomplish different results. They achieve different ends.
Okay.
All right. So it's just important to also weight-bearing exercise to keep our bones strong as much as we can.
What is a weight bearing? Is that with weights?
Well, walking with weights, it can be helpful.
Okay. On your ankles? Or in your hands?
I haven't seen data that talks about like where to have the weights. So just because we're talking about it, I will check on that.
Because remember, ankle weights were really popular.
Right.
What,
I remember.
10 years ago or something?
Yes.
Well, actually, probably longer than that.
Right now, the trend is the vests, the weight vests.
Okay.
And the one I have, I can actually add extra weight to if I want to, so I can build up.
Okay.
I haven't done that yet. I just started with not a lot of weight on it because I didn't get it that long ago.
Is that rucking? Is that what you're talking about? Rucking?
No, rucking is carrying a knapsack.
Carrying a knapsack and you put weights on it. That's not the same thing.
It's similar. It's similar. It's going to be the weight-bearing exercise, so that's really good. When I've heard of people describe themselves doing rucking, they're also often on natural
Hiking
terrain.
trails.
Yes, like on a hiking trail. That does something really good for us, which is it changes it turns out that our bones do well when we change the angle of the stressor on the bones. Okay. So it's not just straight walking or even running. You would think that running would put some good pressure on bones. Well, it turns out that the body and our muscles and the rest of our body adapts to the repetitive movement. So if you're even trail running, okay, not necessarily with a big knapsack on, but, or just, I'm not a runner. I used to be. My ankles don't like that anymore. And so it's a little rough on the body for a lot of people. Right. But doing trail walking changes the angle and really does an even better job with building bone density, building muscle strength, building balance.
Really
it's very, very interesting to learn that. Soccer is really an ideal exercise. I definitely am not, even though my family's from Argentina, I'm not a soccer player. But just to describe it so people can have it in their mind.
When it's bursts.
Exactly. You're running, you're going forward, backward, you're jumping, it's kind of like the top one to help with bones. Cool. So just for people to kind of keep that in mind. So I try to do a little more of that. Like when I go to I love Zumba. I go to my Zumba classes.
Okay, so Zumba is good for me?
Yes.
But
all of it is good for us.
But then I have to do weights.
Correct. So it also depends on what people
So
are trying to
love Zumba.
accomplish. People working on weight loss, the Zumba's not that. Like bad news for women that are working on weight loss, the Zumba over age 40, 50, 60, etc. Yeah, the Zumba is not, it's not our best
Okay, what's it
move,
good
but it's
for
still
then?
fun.
I know.
It's the heavy weights and the HIIT training. That's what impacts metabolism, body
okay.
composition. I know. That's like a whole lot to talk about.
Ah.
I know. Yeah, I know. I felt the same way.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I'll work on bringing better news. I'll work on that.
Okay. How can women reframe aging as an opportunity rather than a decline? You clearly live this philosophy, and you can talk about Mount Kilimanjaro if you want to.
Sure.
So I know I'm 61, gonna be 62 in July, and I know I feel better now than I did 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? It's really weird. I can't explain it. So that's why I was just curious, so how do we reframe aging? Because now I heard that, how you get up and then you're like, you think you can do something and you go to do it and you're like, oh, no, can't do that cartwheel anymore. Right? Is there something in your brain that keeps you in a certain age? Right? Something like that, where your brain thinks you can do it, but then your body goes to do it and it's not the same. Yeah? But anyway.
There's so many factors that contribute to that, right?
Okay.
In other words, if you did cartwheels your whole life, you could probably still keep doing cartwheels. But I haven't done one in many decades, so
yeah.
I probably wouldn't try it. But
I haven't used those muscles in a while.
Exactly. It's a certain flexibility, it's a certain balance. So if a person wanted to do that, then I would say there's definitely a way to do it. Now, there's something they call the centenarian decathlon, which I'm very interested in and learning more about. And it includes things that we want to do when we're 90 or 100 years old. Okay. And when you practice those leading up to those ages, you increase your chances of healthy aging.
Which is so awesome.
Yeah. One of the exercises that I always think about is getting up from the floor without using your hands. All right. So that's kind of a fun challenge to do. But you have to think of it. You have to do it on purpose, right? It's not something that they do show you in a class at the gym.
Right.
All right. So these are all important. And functional movements.
Okay.
So that's getting more popular. You want to be able to put away groceries and not get hurt. Okay. So all of these are important. Let's see. How did you start that question so that we can...
How can women reframe aging?
Reframe. Absolutely. I'm with you. You could not pay me to go back to my 20s. It was a time of intense awareness of what other people thought about me.
Exactly.
Okay. Now I like Eleanor Roosevelt's quote, which is, you would worry a lot less about what people think of you if you realized how seldom they do.
They really don't.
People really are, but that's not how it feels. That's not how it felt when I was in my 20s, for sure.
Right.
I was going to college,
and with
medical
social media,
school.
that does not help.
That's really a really huge challenge, especially for young women, girls and women. That's a whole nother discussion. So reframing. Here we are. We have this amazing opportunity to design our lives the way we want them to be. It could be a challenge sometimes, because when you think about it that way, you start to realize how many choices you have. Right? A lot of, not everyone. I mean, I have patients who are in their 40s and 50s and still have little kids at home, or teenagers, right? Menopause and puberty in the same house is a lot more common than it used to be.
That's funny.
Okay. So when we are reframing, it's like with so many things, the starting point is, what do I want? Asking myself, what do I want? And a lot of us in midlife and beyond. I mean, I don't define midlife. I mean, generally speaking, I think we consider it to start, let's say, at least in our 40s. Okay. But, I don't know when the end is, so I'm just going to stay in midlife from now on.
We don't.
Okay, but my kids are doing well. It's always thank God, and they still need my input, and luckily for me, they are open to my input. So I'm really blessed that way. But I have two boys; they're in their 20s, and they're just doing great. But importantly, they're not in my house. I don't have to worry about their food and their activities. Okay. So that's where the opportunity comes in. And I'm wearing my little butterfly because it reminds, this is my reminder of transformation. To me, it's the ultimate symbol of transformation. And sometimes I have really felt like I am squished in a cocoon. And I think to myself, okay, the butterfly is coming. What is that going to look like? And to focus on that, right? Our brains really respond to visual images, especially with emotion attached to it. So that's a wonderful practice that I do, and that I definitely encourage and recommend.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, that's really good. I like that. Do you want to touch on how you decided to climb Mount Kilimanjaro?
Absolutely. I think it's a pretty fun story.
Is that part of your transformational journey?
Yes. So, I wrote my first book about perimenopause and menopause more than 15 years ago, right? So I was only 43. I was going into menopause, I discovered while I was writing the book. And so I got the idea. First of all, anybody listening, I always say this, anyone listening who, if you thought, wow, that's cool, I'd love to do that, go do it. You can do it. It's a hike. My mom was really concerned and afraid. She was picturing like the movies with the ropes and the ice picks. It's not like that. Oh. It's a very, very long hike. And at the end, it's very high altitude. It's over 19,000 feet at the peak.
Oh, wow.
It's the highest peak in Africa. But you have a lot of support. Okay, it was really a beautiful thing. Wow. So I'm in my 40s, and I knew about this couple who, I met this couple. They had both gone to Kilimanjaro, super fit. They both taught physical education at a university and exercise physiology. And what intrigued me is that she made it to the top and he didn't. And he was super fit and super lean, both of them. So that's a statistical fact that
heck?
Our bodies carry more fat. Our muscles are more for the long run rather than the fast speed of how men's bodies were built. So that definitely intrigued me. I'm in my 40s and I'm getting later in my 40s, and I've had this idea. When I turn 50, I'm going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. So it gets to be my later 40s, and I think I better make sure I enjoy hiking. So I lived in the San Francisco Bay Area, beautiful hiking or all around there. And so I started to go hiking, and I definitely enjoyed it, loved it actually. And so then it got to be close. And I will tell you, I really started the training in earnest about 5 months before I went on the trip. This is not that you have to be a gym rat or you have to have spent years preparing. It's not like that.
Wow.
It's a very slow pace. There's a lot of different ways to climb Kilimanjaro. Okay. My group took 7 days. It was a 7-day climb. If I were to do it again, I don't need to. It's checked off the list. But if I were to do it again, I would do an 8-day because it's one more day at altitude. I made it to the top and got the pictures to show it, but it was difficult. I had a lot of support from one of the guides that we had with us in our group. And getting back down is also challenging, okay, because you're exhausted at that point. So that's really good. And I'm trying to think if there's something else I wanted to say about that. So it was a really beautiful accomplishment. It definitely, it's a great achievement. It was a lot of fun. It's in Eastern Africa. It's in Tanzania. It's just absolutely beautiful. I know what I was going to say. So 7-day or 8-day, there's a running club where people go all the way up and all the way down in the same day.
No.
Okay. These are people who live up at altitude.
Okay.
They're super ultra trained runners. Okay. So that's like not even a goal of mine.
Crazy.
But I'm just saying it can be done in a lot of different ways.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of different routes to the top, but mostly it was just very beautiful. A lot of different climates as you go higher and higher. It was wonderful. It was a great experience.
Okay. That's awesome. Don't know.
Highly recommend.
I want to do that.
That's okay.
The thing I did was I did Camino de Santiago Trail.
Absolutely beautiful Camino de Compostela. I love.
So,
Yeah,
did
love that idea.
Love it, love it, love it. And yet you do have different terrain, and you can take as long as you want.
Yes. My trainer who trained me for Kilimanjaro, she did the whole thing. She did the whole Camino. She took 6 weeks.
Oh.
It was really great.
My daughter did 500 miles in 30 days, and I met her, and I did 76 miles.
That's amazing.
But it was, I don't know if I would take the time to do the whole
right
500 miles because I'm busy. I have things to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
exactly.
my horse and my dog could not stand me gone that long. But I would love to do the different types.
Yeah. I had a patient who I was telling her about it, and she goes, "Oh, that's a nice idea that you did that. When I turned 50, I did a cooking class in Italy for a week." And I'm like, that's a lovely idea too.
Yeah. That's my speech.
But luckily it was after I had gotten to the top of Kilimanjaro. But it was really great. I'm very delighted that I can look back on that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Great. So what you're saying for our energy, to wrap it up, is I think we have to have ideas of what we want for our life, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Sleep, of course. Exercise, whatever you like to do, just get out and do it.
Yes.
And then you can add things as you get out to do it.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one? What would be the third one?
Reducing stress.
Reducing stress, right.
They're all related, right? They all,
are.
what we eat influences our brain. Sleeping helps our brain. It's like I would picture the street sweepers going around. That's happening, literally happening in our brains along the neural pathways while we're sleeping.
That's crazy.
It's that critical.
That is critical.
Yeah.
Okay. So, thank you so much for being on the show.
My pleasure.
And I wanted to tell the audience how to get a hold of you if they have any questions or they want a book or anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. My practice is mostly online, so I am easy to reach. The best way to reach me is my website, which is drlizmd.com. It's drlizmd.com. Everything is on there. Information about me, about my practice, contact us, way to answer some questions. I have a phenomenal wellness coach on my team, and she speaks with everybody who has questions, or a free call with her is a wonderful, lovely place. People can get a lot of information and they can start there. And if you're listening or watching this and you do reach out to our wellness coach, definitely tell her that you saw me on this show.
Okay.
Because there is a special
thing for you.
Consultation for that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So don't forget, stay tuned for Zebby and Theo Adventures. I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye for now.
Coming up next, Adventures with Theo and Zebby, right here on Embracing Life Again with Catherine Koffer.
So I'm surprising Zebby. It just rained and he's eating. So there he is. Hey Zeb, you gonna come here? Anyway, he has his blanket on because it's under 50 degrees and I have to keep his coat a certain way. And so usually he neighs at me, but he's like, "I'm eating, Mom." Hi, sweetheart. So today is training day. We're going to be training. So every week, I bring his trainer out and we work on different things for him. Today we're probably going to be doing carting, right? So I'm trying to teach him to cart. So he'll be in a harness and he's learning to move in rain. We don't have the cart on him yet, but so I will show you the training involved in that. See you soon. Okay, so it looks like Zebby is getting hooked up and we're gonna practice long reining him today. See different pressures, see what he likes better than others for the training. So we're gonna lunge Zebby to get him warmed up before we put the surcingle on him. And I'm trying to be still so you guys can really see what's happening, and that's my trainer Amanda. So we train every Thursday if we can, if I'm not traveling. So he's so well trained, let me tell you. But I've spent hours and hours and hours on this little dude. So I just wanted you to show you what lunging looks like, and all it is getting him warmed up in a circle, and then she'll turn him around to go the other way, and then I'll put the reins on him and we'll show you what long reining looks like, getting him ready to pull a cart. Amanda, what are you doing with him right now?
So this is long reining, and I'm able to teach him how to be sensitive to reins. Obviously we can't ride him, so this is the next best thing. Trying to keep him nice and straight without any arguments. And I'm in a position where he can see me, so he's more relaxed instead of being behind him like I would in a cart.
So she just got him to change direction, and he did it perfectly. So you're still on his side, right?
Yep.
Okay.
He can see me clearly on that side.
And then eventually you'll be right behind him and then he'll steer that way?
Yep.
Okay.
Good boy.
So she's moving him again, making him go straight. So like I said before, this is getting him ready to cart. He has never pulled a cart yet, but we want him just really comfortable and knowing what we want him to do before he starts pulling anything, because we don't want him hurting himself or anybody else. He's just such a calm kid. I love this kid. He's just such a good boy. You've taken the first step to embracing life again. Let's continue to break barriers, find joy, and dream without limits. Join us next time and let's discover inspiration through every transition together.